Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. And before I even tell you the intro of this, I have to warn you, this episode is unhinged. It has no flow. It is mainly just my sister and I going on bunny trails of our memories and all over the place. So please prepare yourself. If you're not in the headspace for that, come return. But I do think it's entertaining. But my producer literally said, you should refilm the intro and tell everyone. This was kind of chaotic before you go into it. I had a really nice intro that was planned for this. And he was like, no, we got to warn the people. That being said, today I'm curious about navigating sister dynamics. Navigating sister dynamics. This topic wasn't in my queue. It wasn't even in my ideas. I was thinking maybe I'll do a sibling dynamic with my brother and sister. But if you listen to my most recent podcast episode about hidden vices and blind spots, I got roasted for something I said about my sister, both by the guest and by my sister. So I thought, let's unpack this today. So welcome back, my sister Clancy. Speak. It's an audio podcast. You can't just wave. Let's try that again. Welcome, Clancy.
Hi.
Okay. She's more shy than I am.
So nervous.
But I'd like to, I still haven't, we're filming this before I've even heard like the final cut of what the episode is going to be. But as I recall it, Emily was like, remember when we were driving and you were like, I'm annoyed with my sister because she got Uggs. And Emily was asking me more and she's like, well, what about them? And I was like, oh, the brown short ones. And she goes, the most unoriginal Uggs ever? And I was like, yes, Emily. I'm annoyed that she matched me. And she was like, it's definitely a you problem. But I mean, welcome to sister dynamics.
100%.
Like unspoken rules, sibling rivalry.
The amount of things that I have that you also have that you will never see because I hide them. And I will not be posting photos in them because I'm just like, I don't want my sister to know I have these
It's
pants.
so messed up. It's clearly my problem. And it's like, I got to deal with
I would love to match. Match all day, please.
All day, every day. I know you would love to.
Like, I want the letters on our shirts. I want all of it. I'd have the same hair as you if I could.
You're brown now. She used to have blonde hair. Is what I mean by that.
Hair.
No, well, I think the reason for that is it kind of goes into the greater thing of we were born 13 months apart. Like very, very close. I think I would have been a better older sister with a couple years in between us. Because part of me is like, why wasn't I that awesome older sister who was like, of course, match me. Come do everything I was doing. I feel like we were so close in age. I was just like, to you and Tucker, my older brother, like, give me space. Let me figure out my life. And I'm bummed because I'm like, oh, it could have been better growing up. It's great now. It could have been better growing up.
Yeah, it could have. But I thought it was pretty good.
Thank you for your graciousness, Clancy. I'd like to talk first about some unspoken and spoken sister rules.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, I went on a girls trip with a lot of girlfriends a couple weekends ago, and some of them had sisters and some of them don't. And it was a really great discussion of some people being like, I don't really understand the sister thing. I never had one. I would love one. And then someone else being like, oh, my sister and I, like, we're so close. Like, she's my first call. Like, it was all over. And I was like, my sister and I are like really, really close. But I also distinctively remember telling Erin early in marriage, like, you will never make me as mad as my sister could make me.
No, I've never punched JJ in the spine. I punch you in the spine.
I want to give context to that one. One, I deserved it. Two,
it's because I was walking behind you. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to punch her. And then I ran off.
That was the funniest part is Clancy would take things in. She was like totally cool with being bossed around and everything and like just like very peacemakery. But then she would die on a molehill. And we would be like, oh, it's Clancy's molehill. Like she doesn't want to give me the straw for my cup. Like
it never made sense.
No, it never made sense the thing she wanted to die on. But one time I know for a fact I deserved it, even though I can't remember the scenario. I was bending over the stairs. I think I was like 12. And then I feel this smack on my spine. Clancy was just choosing to get.
That's the only time I've ever hit you, and it really stuck.
Oh no! Remember that one time we were in the pews, and that one person said, "What a violent child."
Wait, but who hit wrong then?
I think you hit me. I was instigating over and over and over, and you finally did it. And then the nanny at the time was not qualified to handle this.
No.
And
These
she
poor
was-
nannies. Can you imagine
No.
nannying 3 very, very strong-willed
Mhm.
children? Except for me, I just hid. Besides that we're 1 year apart.
No. Maggie was the best one.
Maggie was the
Maggie
all-star.
Murphy. She's since married, but in my head, she's always Maggie Murphy.
She's Miss Maggie to me. You're
Miss-
very disrespectful.
Well, I ended up working with her later as adults.
Oh, okay. No,
So we
Miss
kind
Maggie.
of met peers. But no, Maggie really handled it best. But why did I start talking about this?
Sorry.
Sister rules.
Sister
rules. Because I was borrowing a dress from a friend and I kept getting compliments on it. And I was like, oh, thanks, it's Tess's. Thank you. Where'd you get it? Oh, it's Tess's. And I was like, why do I do that? I was like, oh, it's because Clancy and I had the rule of if you're wearing something of mine and it gets a compliment, you've got to redirect the compliment.
100%.
You
Copyright
need-
Haven Cobble.
Copyright Haven Cobble. That was my maiden name for sure. Or one time, it's a lot of it was clothing, is one time I remember I asked if you had borrowed a dress and you were like, no, I don't have it. And I was like, you're not allowed to wear it. And then one time I saw you, we were at like different campuses of a place. I saw a satellite feed of you walking across in my dress.
No.
I can't remember the last time I felt that angry.
I mean, if it was on a campus feed, I was like an adult at that point. There's no way we were children.
No, I think we were early 20s.
That's an adult.
That's what I'm saying. No, we weren't children.
You were married, probably.
But there's something about a sister where also, like, no one can make me as mad, but if anyone ever says anything bad about you, RIP, I'm now their murderer.
all you internet people,
Oh, yes.
stop it.
PSA to Clancy, because I recently got trolled online.
I'm very nervous to be here. Please don't troll me.
But wait, I thought you were just advocating for me.
Because you don't want her coming after you.
No.
Not because of me.
Let me actually look at our notes. What did we say we were going to talk about on here? Oh, it just
But we
says
never
Clancy
talked about-
shares her viewpoint on the subject.
So, my viewpoint.
Hit me with it.
I didn't think.
Oh, you're not really ready for it?
No, I'm ready. I just need prompting.
Okay. What's your viewpoint on this?
That was funny.
What I'd like for this episode, besides just us having a good time together, which we could do without having to film and put for the internet, is people who have a sister. I feel like they're
Mhm.
going to watch this and be like, oh, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, very much tracking. But also people who don't have a sister, like, what is that like? It's really hard to explain, like, the deep love, but also the deep kind of like,
Hatred.
okay.
Just kidding.
What? Deep childhood like issues that seem to bubble up where it's like, oh my gosh, how am I feeling like an 8-year-old right now?
Yeah. Oh, golly, you're right.
Tell me where you're going with it.
Only reason I remember that is because, gosh, after we got married, there were a couple of family trips, I think, that we went on. And I remember JJ pulling me aside at one point in time and was like, I'm here for this, but like, this is like 7-year-old Clancy. I don't know what this family dynamic is right now with you. I think, oh my God, I remember what it was.
What was it?
I had read the first book of Game of Thrones,
Okay.
and you
Oh yeah.
had watched Game of Thrones.
Yes. I remember this.
And there was some peacocking
Yes.
of who knows Game of Thrones better, the person who read one book or the person who watched the show. And you were
relentless.
relentless on being this
Stupid.
Game of Thrones gal.
It was so stupid.
and I sobbed.
This was like 4 years ago.
I was
and
married.
I'm saying that being like recently. Like why? Yeah.
Very recently. I was married. I was happy career. I had the things that were
Mhm,
great. Like there was no,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I needed to be
Mhm.
cool Game of Thrones gal.
Yeah.
And I think I mispronounced one of the names, and that was all that was it.
Kiss of death.
Kiss of Death. You sniper rifle
It's
over
done
there.
there. Oh, well, let's not weaponize what I've shared in other podcasts against me.
Oh wait,
Yes, that's how I fight.
yes,
Igloo sniper.
I am the snowman that melts.
Yeah.
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 Cute with the top hat.
Cute. Top hat. Now a quick pause to hear from my sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Efficienade. Efficienade offers fractional virtual assistants whose sole purpose is to help people who are making a difference. Are you bogged down in your email and still managing your own calendar? Delegating those tasks to a high-caliber career assistant can free you up to utilize your time towards the areas of your best and highest use, allowing you to focus on the areas you truly thrive in. Learn more at efficientaid.com. That's efficient, AIDE.com. Okay, back to the episode. I think it's also why sometimes family trips should end after 4 or 5 days.
Oh my word, they should. And everyone should have separate rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And the day shouldn't be planned from start to finish.
No, because I love family trips. In the first 2 days, I'm always like, look at us adults. This is so much fun. This is exactly what I wish it to be.
Us.
Look at us. Like, we're not children anymore. And then like the third day, it's like, oh, inkling. Something's not right. And then day 4, it's like, we should get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's always day 5 that we actually get out of there.
It's always one day too long.
Yeah. It also is though, like, you can make me mad and we can fight, but like, if you needed me, I'll drop everything and literally leave anyone to come be by your side, whether it's big or small. So I think that's also what's hard for someone on the outside to understand. It's like, it's so protective in there and you can fight because it's the deep, deep love, the deep, deep foundation of care that you always return to, which is kind of hard to explain.
It's like one of the only real relationships that you're kind of stuck in.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, you can't choose your family.
You can't, and it's the only people that know about you super deeply. And even like with, you can't choose your parents, but your parents didn't live, especially with us three. We were 3 years in a row. We knew what was happening culturally with us, generationally with us, because we shared that experience. Our parents didn't know what that context was. So you're the only person I know that has literally experienced maybe not the same experiences as me, but you understand early childhood, you understand moves, you understand parenting dynamics. Like, you're probably the person that knows, quote, knows me the best because you lived it. The majority of it.
And so much of it was shared, like even into college. Like, we ended up going to the same college and we liked carpool together.
Love that.
And we would schedule our classes. So we were only going to school like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we could carpool. One of us just had to say the word and we were ditching class for Chick-fil-A.
100%.
And it was a really enjoyable college time too.
It was.
We milked it as long as we could.
You know what? And I'm glad you went first because I just took all your tips and ran with it. Like, rent the textbook. You get it for 30 days.
Oh, never buy.
Make a copy of all the pages within 30 days. If you return it within 20 days, you don't even have to pay for the rent.
I learned that like a year too late, but I did learn it.
Exactly. You can take 5 in-person classes and 2 online, and you get 7 classes.
Double up, graduate early.
Double up, graduate really early. And
sociology doesn't require a communication language. Well, I don't know
what kind of other language.
Clearly couldn't have done it. That's why I couldn't be a communications major.
There you go.
Really sucked at foreign languages.
Yeah.
Even though I took 4 years of Latin, you would think that baseline would be enough from high school, and it wasn't.
It's because I tried to teach you Latin like 7th grade. I didn't know what was going on in 7th grade.
Was it? I thought we learned in high school.
8th, 9th, 10th. And then Spanish for the last 2.
Oh, I never did that. I only did 4 years of Latin the whole time.
Oh, I took 2 years of Spanish, and I still don't know how to say anything.
Your husband speaks Spanish fluently.
Okay, do you know all the things that Aaron knows? Does it just like absorb into your brain?
No, but you think you know a little bit.
You would think.
Back to college. Do you remember that one time?
Oh, first of all, there's a lot of times, but I know exactly what you're talking about. You go, me go. Who goes?
You go, and then I want to cut it in case I run for president.
Love this. Okay. Well, the person who sat next to me in one of my classes, I believe, is running for president.
I love that guy. What's he doing these days? Something the 5th.
Something B. Johnson the 5th. And he went by that from freshman year of college. Yes. He had a photo of him with the American flag pin in his college email. And yeah, he cheated off me. And I remember saying, I'm going to write a book one day called The President Cheated Off My Homework, which is not actually a great title.
No. I'd be curious if he really became president.
Oh, he ended up being on Fox News.
We're going to have to Google him after this episode, but continue.
What are you supposed to Google? Something Johnson the 5th.
Surely that's enough of naming the college we went to?
Yeah.
Not
point.
naming it here because I don't want you guys to Google him because we don't know what this guy's doing.
We don't. Anyways, okay. Back on track. College. Like we said, went to college together, drove together, took a lot of the same classes, which, you know what? I'm not allowed to have the same shoes as you, but I can have the same major in all of your classes, and that was no problem. Did you ever get mad at that?
Minimally. I want to talk about, after you finish this story, our fashion story. Remember our fashion class?
Hilarious. Okay.
Go into that one.
Go this first one.
Yes.
Okay, so I took an advertising class that you had taken the semester before. Funny enough, I work in advertising now, but it was the one I paid the least amount of attention to, but the only one that took attendance. So I was sitting there the whole time, for sure.
I remember from this class that a billboard should have no more than 7 words.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's my one takeaway from that class. And every time I see a billboard with more than 7 words, I'm like, you're failing.
No. Mm-hmm. Except for digital out of home, which whole new ballpark.
It wasn't at the time. Continue.
Okay. Advertising class. Okay, so they didn't I don't think they had tests. Like, it was one of those ones where you had 2 big projects. And if you did well on the projects, you passed the class. And if you didn't, you didn't. And I was taking 7 classes at the time per Haven's schedule. And that's a lot of classes.
It's like 21 hours.
It's 21 hours. A lot of classes to juggle. I wrote the due date down incorrectly of this project that I was supposed to be working on for half the semester, which was cutting out advertisements or printing out advertisements and doing like a journal about what you thought about it, what they could do better. And you had to have a whole binder that you were supposed to be working on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Mm-hmm. Sitting in class, and he says, okay, everyone, we're actually going to end class early today because I'm just going to have everyone turn in your assignments and I'm going to start grading them early so we can all leave. So everyone will start at front, the row number 1. We'll get up, you'll turn your assignments in, and then you'll leave. I freaked out. I was probably 10, 12 rows back, and I immediately texted Haven, which is you. And I immediately texted you and said, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what I asked, but you were across the campus.
Yes.
Very far away. And I remember you just being like, I'm on it. Stall. Mm-hmm. Everyone in this class was involved in stalling. I whispered it down the row.
Complicit.
Everybody was complicit. You know what? If you run for president, everybody in that class is going down with you.
They should have all known better.
Everyone. I remember whispering down the line, be like, can you stall? Everybody stall. So somebody raised their hand and was like, I'd love to read an excerpt. And I was like, yes, go with that. Mm-hmm. So I texted, I was like, okay, you got some time. You ran to wherever the printers existed on campus. Love this. Printed out your assignment, because it was the same assignment from the semester before. Printed out your assignment, got it bound, put together. I don't know how you did it so quickly because there were a lot of things to print out.
So many.
And you were texting and updating the whole time, and someone would read their excerpt and he'd be like, okay, everyone else. And then someone else would be like, I really feel passionate about this ad. May I please? And I was like, go down to the front, stall. So they walk really slowly down the front. Anyways, reading. Everyone's like, where's your sister? Where is she? How close is she?
And I'm booking it.
Sprinting.
Running so fast. It was in Texas. It was so hot. I had all of my textbooks and bags on me. I'm huffing it. Was not really prepared to be running that day.
No. And then finally they're getting closer and closer. And Haven, you're like, I don't want to keep saying your name. Haven, exclamation point. Haven the podcast is outside. And texting okay, I'm out. Mm-hmm. Come out. Came back in right when my row was called up. And I went, there you go. Love it. Got an A.
You're welcome. Of course you did.
Thank you.
It was very good work. But that's what sisters do. We drop everything.
That was half the podcast.
I think I left a class. That was half the podcast. I think I left a class to do that. But
that sounds so accurate. It sounds very on brand.
Yeah. We also were oh, we have electives. Let's take a fashion class together.
It was my first class of college.
We thought it was going to be easy. And then we
fashion
show up.
Design 101 or something.
Something. And these girls were actual fashion majors.
They were really into it.
They knew how to sew. And they kept teaching us about haute couture. And we're like, what?
It's haute couture.
Haute couture. No, but that's what I remember them talking about. I was like, what? And we had to actually learn about fashion.
We found out after the fact that we had signed up early and they ended up closing it for anybody who wasn't a fashion major.
Yeah.
So we were the only ones. And
they made a sketch. We had to have a sketchbook, and we had to
God.
show our sketches for fashion design. And I would just sit and watch TV and just color my sketches of the outfit I was wearing. And I was just, like, I'm not going to decide
Old Navy
something.
kids.
That's true. I did wear Old Navy kids in college.
Mm-hmm.
It was a look.
Flip-flops, $1. But yes, also in that class, though, this is just perfect. In that class, you sat behind me.
Mhm.
And I had to go up to the front of class to present this assignment. And I come back, and after class, you showed me a bunch of pictures of my hair from the back and the front. And you had spent the first half of the class tearing up small pieces of paper and sticking them in my hair. That I went up to the front of class with just paper shreds in my hair. And really talked about this wonderful sweater that I sewed. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I think I have a picture of that, of all the paper in my hair.
Those such good memories.
Classic sister.
Classic sisters.
Classic.
Where do we go from here, Clancy?
You know, I was thinking about sisterhood. I was thinking, why is it so special?
And what did you land on?
Well, okay, actually, this is not what I was thinking. I was thinking about why it's so competitive. Like with Tucker, our brother, there's not necessarily like a lot of competition. Like his success has zero impact on me besides me being excited for him.
Yeah. It was more growing up for me, but as an adult, not so much.
Yeah. So sisterhood, though, I feel like there's a lot of competition. You can't have the same Uggs as me.
That might just be a Circa Haven thing, but continue.
It could be, but I think it's a normal thing for sisters. Like, you have to give me credit. There's just this dynamic. And I was thinking, I think it's, I mean, not to blame culture, but I think it's pretty cultural about like, when it comes to female success, it's finite. So something that you have that's good, that means the amount that I can have has been reduced because it's a finite thing.
Wow.
Women in business is very similar, right? Like one seat at the table is you took up a seat at the table and there's not that many seats left. I think it's pretty similar with sisters, especially if you're so close in age.
It's so interesting you asked that because when I opened it up for Q&As, I got so many questions, like more than any of the other topics, because it resonates with people. And a lot of them were like talking about like, what do you do when your sister is getting the things like that you want with jealousy? Like what if one of them is getting married first, or what if them is like closer to another parent and you want that? Or like when you say sisters, it is kind of naturally comparing in a way that I don't think it is when you're comparing a sister or brother.
And I think it goes back to this, the only relationship where they have literally experienced your experiences. Tucker doesn't know what it's like to be a young girl or a female growing up, or like he doesn't understand that dynamic, but you understand the parents that we grew up with, the time, the location, and what it was like to be a woman.
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, it's very much like shared experiences. And gosh, I mean, siblings get compared all the time, just in general. I feel like for us, yes.
Oh, I have a story about that. They compared. Well, it was one of the things that kind of touched into me where I remember, I don't remember this actually. My mom told me about this, but I remember the feeling. Is she said that like one time she was brushing your hair and she was talking about how beautiful your hair was. You were like a toddler, like 2 or so. And I think I was 3. And she said that she caught me looking in the mirror, just kind of like pulling my brown straight hair, just kind of like looking at it. And she realized that you had these like golden locks that everyone would always comment on. And she was like you just naturally, everyone would say how beautiful your hair was. And I just had flat brown hair. And so she then was telling me, she was like, but Haven, you have the longest hair in the family. Like your hair is so long. And like that became like an identity for me from her trying to make me feel better. But like I held on to that too long, where I remember I had the Barbie haircut thing. And I like was like, oh yeah, I'm going to cut. And so I like cut my hair. I cut the Barbie's hair. I'm sure everyone has that story. But when they were going to cut my hair, I was like, but Mom, I have the longest hair in the family. So
you know what they did?
They gave you a pixie cut.
They gave me a 1-inch haircut.
But you rocked it and it was adorable. You looked like Tinkerbell.
That was delightful.
But it was to accommodate my problem. So even as an adult, I had this weird thing where I was like, I have the longest hair in the family until I was like 18. And then I was like, you got to let that go, girl.
It's not a thing.
No, but I
That's so
think
funny.
sometimes it is that especially if someone's even like getting more and more like verbal approval, then they'll be like, but you have, and it invertedly does compare.
Yeah.
It includes comparisons.
It does. Like, I remember growing up, obviously you're very beautiful. It was the
Mhm.
like, well, she's a classic beauty and you're I think quirky.
Oh, come on.
I know. Whoever chose the word was not great.
No.
But that ended up really like sticking with me and becoming, I remember growing up and being like, okay, well, Haven's the classic beauty with like the, very like, I keep saying classic. That's the only word I know.
Mhm.
Classic beauty. And I would get nose rings and tattoos
Wow.
and do like really messy hair. And like, that's my version of pretty. Cause it felt like if I tried to do yours, I wouldn't stack up. So let me do my own version of it, but it's still comparing.
But it's weird because these are kid responses. Don't you look at
Yes!
your little kid and be like, oh, sweetheart.
Literally vulnerable.
Mhm.
Literally, God, maybe a couple months ago, maybe
Mhm.
I was crying in the living room and
Mhm.
I was like, JJ, Haven's just so pretty and she knows how to take photos. I don't know how to take photos. But he had a really good response. He was like, well, if both of you enter a room, she is the one that gets noticed. Sounds like it would hurt my feelings, but it doesn't,
Mhm.
because he was like, well, if you want to be like that, that's because she's confident. Like, you can walk into a room and you own the room and you're confident. And now that I say it out loud, it sounds like he was really mean, but it wasn't. It was actually really what I needed to hear at the time.
The nuance is he loves you so deeply and he loves you exactly as you are.
Yeah, he really does. Because I'm trying to work on confidence,
Mhm.
But even to this day, I'm 31 years old.
Yeah. But it's great. Like, the sisters will bring up the most vulnerable stuff. Like, I remember even thinking like, oh my gosh, like so awesome. And then I go back in a family dynamic and I'm like, not awesome. Nope. Lots of things to work on. But I actually think that's the beauty of it, though, is like the beauty that siblings bring is like, one, it is learning how to like have conflict with one another. It is learning how to like adjust when you have completely conflicting things, or like having someone's back with, complete certainty, complete loyalty. That like, I just don't know if you get it outside of a blood relationship, because
No.
someone else, I remember even thinking about this before, is because you and I are so different. I remember being like, would we be friends outside of sisters? And I don't know how close we would be, but you're exactly who I need.
Oh, thank you.
No, I mean it. Like, you're exactly the person I need in my life, even though I'm like, oh, would we align? Do we have a lot of the same interests? No, but like, that's what makes you so, so, so special to me.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it is
I
pretty
do
nice.
think it's because friends, they can leave, right? Like, we actually didn't talk for a couple of years.
Yeah, we weren't close. We had a painful moment that we both needed to heal from. And I think we always knew we would find our way back, but we were like, but what does that mean?
I didn't know. I mean, we saw each other at a couple of family events over a course of probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, something like that. If you were just a friend, that we would never have gotten back together. We wouldn't have, for sure. But put in the work because you're my sister. I'm like, I don't want to go. It was actually when we got engaged that kind of initiated, because I remember thinking, we're not close at all right now. So if she was a friend, I wouldn't ask her to be my maid of honor. But she's my sister.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get back together at some point in time. I don't want to look back and be like, I asked a rando. And so I remember asking you and being like, I know we haven't talked in a while, but do you want to go wedding dress shopping? And then once you had Isley, that was sealed the deal.
It was like the bridge. I do think that in the long-standing longevity, I feel like even that seems like a sister thing. Like, I remember grandmother told me about her sister dynamics. Like, people I know that had it, they're like, yeah, it happens. Like, it's just important to always find your way back. But you can't discount like, oh, that time apart is painful. And it's hard.
Oh my God, the journal entries, we're going to love it. We're going to love it one day.
Oh, this is a little off topic.
This entire podcast is off topic.
Okay. So I can go there. We were looking up my mom saved memory boxes from all of us kids, and we were looking at them like months ago, and we found Clancy's junior high journals.
In high school.
In high school. When I tell you the depth of emotion.
The sorrow.
How
did I have so much sorrow?
The despair. It was so, Clancy was such a quiet middle schooler and high schooler, but everything poured into these journals. We had the best time reading them.
It was so amazing. And I started journaling again recently.
Good for you.
Sorrow's still there.
Every night I would go to bed and Clancy was on her bed journaling.
Mm-hmm.
She just wrote a lot.
So much.
Yeah.
And it was so cute because it always started with, Dear God, because I felt really weird just journaling to the air.
Yeah.
So they were always like framed as little letters to God. And I'd say good night at the end.
It was so tender.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know how a little homeschooled girl in sheltered Texas just had so much deep sorrow.
Enneagram 4s, man.
It's just so deep.
So deep, so much emotion. You want to go into questions?
I do.
Okay.
Unless something else comes to mind, and then I'll say that.
Oh, we'll just go on many tangents, I believe.
I know. You're paying everyone, right?
I am paying everyone to be here. That is correct. So it's on my dime. Okay. Finding common ground while having different personalities and interests. What's your take?
I don't know. I just like you. I don't know. I just like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
But like I don't know. Like we don't like talk about movies and stuff. I don't know. This is a terrible answer. But I genuinely just like your personality. It's not like your interests are. What do we do together?
Send memes back and forth. Talk about the food places we want to go to.
Sometimes we get our nails done.
Yeah.
We're terrible friends.
No.
We're great friends.
I think we're just too comfortable with each other to really even have thought about this question. I think it's great, though, because you give me insight. I don't care about golf. I care about it because you do.
That's true.
You don't have kids. You know a lot about parenting.
Oh my gosh, I know so much about parenting.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people now that has opinions about other people's parenting. Well, how did I turn into that person? I keep it to myself.
Yeah.
But I do. I see it and I think,
Totally. And now I look at golf outfits and I go, that's a cute one.
That's a cute one. Clancy would love it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't think we have similar interests, but I feel like that does bring a really refreshing perspective to things because the way you approach the world is different than me. So if I'm having trouble, it's like going to like an echo chamber. Like I don't want to go to people who have the same opinion as me. I don't have to take your opinion. Sometimes I should, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But it's nice that we're so different. I don't want a yes man.
No, I think the common ground is just have something in your corner. You know, I feel like I could FaceTime you in a moment and you'd be there.
You know what it also kind of helps is Aaron is so similar to me.
Yeah.
Very similar. And JJ's very similar to you.
Did we marry each other?
Interesting. We should do a podcast about that.
Call back. Next question is, actually it's not a question. Someone said, I always said having a sister is overrated.
What is that?
Someone put that in the Q&A and I thought it was funny.
Oh my gosh.
So I added it on here.
That's funny.
It is funny.
I think it's underrated.
I do. I think this person's sisterless. I took a downer. Okay. Jealousy between sisters, i.e. younger, getting married first, that kind of thing. It's hard to like put aside that stuff and just celebrate someone.
It's hard to do that with anybody.
Totally.
I find it easier to celebrate something that you have that I might want than a friend. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think about it when I think about, like, I think the jealousy comes from someone getting it first. I don't know if you're mad that they got it if you already have it.
Yeah.
So I have to think of, if I got this first, how would I feel about Clancy doing it? I'd be thrilled. Or like in the grand scheme of things, of course I want this for her. Sometimes I think jealousy is like, well, who beat to it, you know? And it's hard to still have that unmet longing.
Or it's even for something that maybe you don't care about, but you just want to be the one that did it or got it or whatever.
I see that in my toddlers. Like my daughter could be not near a toy and then my son goes to grab it and she's like, what? No.
That's my favorite toy.
I need
dreamed about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, you weren't even looking at it.
How do we deal with jealousy? I honestly, for better, for worse, I feel like we've just really created our own path. Maybe I don't even, maybe my personality is my personality, or maybe it's partly just the opposite of your personality.
Okay, this is a really good question. Is I'm sensitive and my sister is not. How can I communicate feeling unsupported by her? Better yet, how can my sister relationship teach me in how to exist in other girl relationships?
Interesting.
Where do you think we fall in that category?
I'm very sensitive.
And I'm very not.
Yeah. You know, and you have hurt my feelings a lot.
Yes.
You didn't talk to me for 3 years, and that hurt my feelings. I was very sensitive about that.
Yes. I'm not going to negate that. I have thoughts about how that came to that.
I am curious of thoughts on how that came
I don't know
to
if I want to do it on a podcast.
Interesting.
I'd say the deepest is I deeply, 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 deeply cared about you, and seeing you flailing and drowning with outside circumstances that I couldn't save you from was painful.
Yes.
And I couldn't save you, and I knew I couldn't save you. And so being around it made it harder for me.
Yes, you're right. You were worried that I would not, what do they call it now, to beat the algorithm, unalive?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
and
it was.
it was too scary to
that makes sense.
think
that
of
makes
that
sense.
outcome.
That makes sense. Anyways, but I am very sensitive. So much sorrow, so many journals.
Yeah.
And you're not. But I feel like that has helped me because it's, I don't know, like showed me someone who I know loves me very, very, very deeply and be okay with getting my feelings hurt. I used to say like my feelings are like my feet are really big. It's not really your fault if you step on my toes. My feet are really big. But if you stomp on my foot, okay, that's like a thing. But I don't know, it helped me get a little bit more thick skin, I guess.
I like that visual. And I think as the person who would be in the scenario of the I'm sensitive, my sister is not, I think it's like, okay, knowing that about Clancy, like I'm going to be cognizant of that. And I'm going to be thoughtful of that. Of me flippantly saying something is going to pierce more. And I need to know that the power of the impact of my words. It's not saying like, don't be myself, but I have to know how things are going to impact, and I have to own that as my responsibility.
I agree with that. But I also think it's like, you do a good job, I would say, of acknowledging. Like, you're just very good. I remember one time I don't remember what we did, but at the end, you pulled me aside and you were like, so I know you're going to overthink that all the way home, and you're probably going to be thinking about it for 10 years and probably think X, Y, Z. I'm just going to preemptively tell you, I enjoyed my time with you. This was this was that. So I feel like as long as, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times, for better or for worse, people cater to the more sensitive one. It's like the most sensitive common denominator, I would say. They reduce their, I don't know, vibrato or whatever it might be to cater to this. And as a sensitive person, I appreciate that. But at the same time, like, you can call me up. Like, that's accountability. It's someone calling you to be your best self. It's someone saying, hey, I love you. The fact that you're getting your feelings hurt at this, maybe help me understand why. Is that about me, or is that about something else? Did I just prick on something a little bit? And it's like a safe space. So I don't necessarily always want someone who's maybe not as sensitive to cater to my feelings. My feelings aren't always right.
Wow.
And if I just listen to them and I'm like, wow, my feelings are real. Very real experience. Doesn't mean they're right.
That's such a great take. I love hearing that. I've never heard you say that before.
Thank you.
I really like it.
A lot of therapy.
Therapy. What if we ended by saying our favorite thing about each other?
I love that idea.
I know. Thought it was so good.
It's just so good.
My favorite thing about Clancy, Elizabeth Cobble Arantes. Elizabeth with a Z.
Don't rub it in.
She legally had it changed because it was...
No, I didn't.
Oh.
It was supposed to be Elizabeth with an S because mom's name is Lisa, and all the kids got... Wow.
Oh, Elizabeth. I get it now.
This is a timely podcast because all of the kids got a name that had some other person's name in their middle name. Tucker, Stevenson.
My dad's name is Steve. How awesome is that? Stevenson.
Dad's name is Steven.
Son.
Steven
whatever.
son.
Steven Son. And Tucker needs a son named Tuckerson.
Oh, that'd be so cute. Yours is Haven Catherine Hill. Someone's name is Catherine.
Oh, wow. Both grandparents. Catherine was on my dad's side. Hill was on my mom's. They wanted to name me Haven Hill, but it sounds like a funeral home.
Yes.
So they threw in the other grandparent name into that.
Now you're Haven Catherine Hill Cobble Wheats.
Legally, no. In my heart, yes.
In my heart, yes. And so mine was supposed to be Clancy Elizabeth with an S. My mom's name is Lisa.
Catchy.
Clancy Elizabeth. Some dum-dum at Cedar Sinai spelled it wrong. And I've been trying to change for 31 years. I tried to change the spelling secretly on my marriage license. And then JJ just tried to remove his. He didn't want it. He just wanted to be Jay.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me.
It's unfortunate.
So yes, it's Elizabeth with a Z. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that.
I got mixed up, so I otherwise wouldn't have brought it up. But now it makes sense.
Mhm.
My favorite thing about Clancy is her memory. It's going to sound like a joke, but I'm actually serious.
Mhm.
Clancy can remember what she was wearing when she was 7 years old and what the sky was like and what I was wearing and what I was feeling at the drop of a hat.
Mhm.
You're like so helpful to go into that. But it's paired with, I've heard that people with great memories, it's because they're deep feelers, because memories are saved in the same part of the brain as emotions.
Mhm.
So it's your memory as the joke part, but it's your emotions. I feel like deep feelers are really, really brave. That like going through like big emotions and not being afraid of them and not pushing them away and not numbing them and not like retreating from them, but advancing into them takes a lot of courage. And I know that anything I want to share, whether it's the best news, you're the best person to call. If it's the worst news, you're the best person to call. And that you'll come and be with me and deeply be with me. And I know that I have like an ally for life in you. And I think that's a really, really, really great gift.
I love that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You do have a good memory. I'll forget what you said 5 minutes after you said it. But if there was any sort of emotional trauma involved, it stuck for life. Or emotional excitement. Very high highs or very low lows. I'll remember
Even little
forever.
T trauma, as we read in your journals in middle school.
So much little T trauma.
So much little T trauma going on.
But also so many sweet things. I wrote about my first kiss. I ran inside and woke my parents up to tell them. Who does
Sweet.
that?
You know, his wife listens to this podcast.
Aw, he was a great first boyfriend.
Oh,
we should
just-
do a podcast about first boyfriend. Like, you had good. I'm so grateful for JJ's first girlfriend.
Yes.
It was so just tender. I appreciate that. That's a big thing.
Aaron's first girlfriend ended up being a lesbian.
Hmm.
We're grateful for her too.
We are.
What's your favorite thing about me?
No, with a name. Your first. Wait.
No, different one.
Oh.
Yeah. That wasn't his first.
Interesting.
We're not going to call her out here. What's your favorite thing about me?
Can I read what I wrote?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. This is Haven. No exclamation point, just Haven. My entrepreneurial coach sends us these monthly type questions a few days prior to us speaking to her, and I just loved this one. I answered for myself, but never thought about that before or asked someone before. What would your answer for me be? And I can answer it for you both too. Where's the question, Haven?
I liked context, as again, I over analyze and think.
There was a screenshot. Okay, so you said, what would you say for me? The question was, when you leave a room, what do most people miss about you? But about you.
Mwah.
When Haven leaves a room, what do people miss most about Haven?
I didn't write it in third person. She's reading it in third person.
I was explaining to the audience.
Yes.
Tucker said, oh, that's a great question. Then I'm pretty sure he immediately texted me and was like, is this a setup? We don't know.
Because what did I also, before I said, I asked you guys about blind spots and you refused to answer. And Tucker was like, sometimes you send voice memos and I prefer texts. And I was like, that's a cop out.
I'm pretty sure I said that you watch trashy TV.
Which was actually my answer for myself.
See? Sisters.
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 Sister.
It's a white Christmas.
Is that weird? I thought it was SNL.
No, they parodied it. It's a real song.
Okay. I said, Tucker's was so short. Mine was scrollable. 2 scrolls. I would say overall, even just outside of the feeling that people have when you leave, the weight of the room seems to be changed when you leave a room. Like you take up so much space energetically that when you leave, there seems to be a lack of something or a hole left in that space. Additionally, overachiever, you bring such a strong and anchored confidence to the room. It sort of helps settle any sort of uncertainty that any individual may have. So when you leave, that's definitely noticed. Like if people are anxious in social settings or nervous or shy, having you in the room who can lead the conversation and really steer the temperature of the room, it takes the pressure off of other people and they relax and open up a little bit more because there's not that weight of feeling like they need to manage the room. And then, of course, self-conscious. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but there's a lot missing.
Oh, Nancy, thank you. It means a lot that you see me that way.
It's true. You really do. The dynamic changes. When you leave, it does feel like there's something missing.
No way.
Yeah. If you took a poll, people would probably say yes.
Maybe you shouldn't go golfing without me then.
You know what? That's why I'm so bad at golfing. My sister's not there. No, but it's true. Aside from that, I will say there is something so, there's something interesting about being in a room with someone who takes up a lot of space. Because they could either take up space in a way that feels like too much and makes you uncomfortable because they're aggressively taking up space, or someone that comes in and is like, I'll carry the weight for you, wallflower. I'll carry the weight for you so you can come out off the wall and play around a little.
I love that. I love you, sister. Wow. It's really overgrown nails.
Hey, I know one of them broke too. That's why I do nude, because then you can't see when they grow out.
Every time I see you, they basically become French tips. You really like go to the distance.
2 in 1.
That's amazing.
Frugal.
It's true. Off-brand. Frugal.
Off-brand. Excuse me. These are not off-brand. They are Kat Valenzuela, the best manicure artist in the Valley.
No, I don't want to devalue Kat. I was talking more about like your non-Stanley, your non-Uggs.
My Tugs. Also my Walks. Walmart Crocs. I got Walks. I got Tugs.
Tugs and Walks.
I got whatever the Amazon Stanley is.
Yeah.
Ansley.
Yeah, Amazon.
Amazon.
That sounds like something someone in the South would name their child. This is Ammonsley.
Someone who lives in a 5,000 square foot house and their child goes to a private school. This is Ammonsley. Love it.
Anyways, this episode was pretty much unhinged, and I had a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I liked, if you even look at the notes of this, it literally just says, Haven brings up a thought. Clancy talks about that thought. We had no plan for where this was going to go, and I think that showed.
It did.
Thank you for joining us. If you have a sister, I hope that you were just like co-signing everything. And then if you don't have a sister, maybe you got like a little glimmer insight into what it's like. Yes, Clancy.
We're going to be in so many sisters' DMs. Because they send they send memes and clips and things about sisters. You should say something like viral.
Oh yeah, let's just do it. Let's say something viral. So follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Haven the Podcast. YouTube, it's the same handle, and you can follow, subscribe, and then you'll automatically be notified when new videos come up. And you could watch this on video, which is way more entertaining than audio.
Especially because they won't be automatically notified. You said automatically.
Automatically notified. Ammonsley.
Walks, Tugs, Ammonsley.
Walks, Tugs, Ammonsley. That's the concept.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else to say here. Thank you for joining me.
I don't think we had anything to say from the get-go.
No, we didn't say anything. This podcast did not say anything.
This was the Coco Melon of podcasts.
So true.
So delightful.
Pure entertainment.
Filled with nothing.
Filled with nothing. It's fun sometimes, you know. What was the one that I'm doing after this? Oh, I'm talking about unmet longings and desires. It goes pretty dark. So,
for context, I walked in while they were filming that, way hyped.
Clancy was lit, and like she came in, I said, "Hey, I just talked about infertility, so I can't really go there right now."
I was backed up. I went reverse out of the room.
Beep, beep, beep. But anyways, that's our next episode, so it's going to be a real gear shift from this one. So enjoy the levity while you can. Dark days are coming. I love you guys. Goodbye.